welcome to another Down the Rabbit Hole video. I'm doing another video response, and this one is to Novabug, who posts his Friday Foursome every once in a while. I've done a couple in the past. His most recent is name 4 of your favorite developers or publishers for video games. So I've got some, and in each case I've actually got an apology to make on each behalf. But anyway, starting off with, I'm in my Assassin's Creed hoodie. Ubisoft is one of my favorites. I really like how they have managed to... the Assassin's Creed thing was set off to the side. I really like how they have managed to do a great variety of games, and the big thing for me, historically, on the previous generation, I was a Wii player more than I was anything else, and I was very impressed that Ubisoft are the ones who actually kept knocking it out of the park with Wii games. I mean, they're still making Just Dance games for the Wii. Not the Wii U, the Wii, in this year. So they're still just doing gangbusters work for the Wii. And I did a video not too long ago about Raymond Rabbids game. How come not too many of these control schemes were turned into real games? Ubisoft just know how to make good games for that platform. And also the Wii U with like Zombie U and Rayman Legends and all that kind of stuff. So I really like Ubisoft. Now, I will apologize that, yes, the Assassin's Creed thing has kind of lost a lot of people's appreciation. But I will say that for me, now I don't like all the Assassin's Creed games. I will do a video about that someday. I'm being critical here. But I remember thinking I was always jealous of like the Madden fans or the Need for Speed fans or the Call of Duty fans. They always got a new game every year. Where's my game like that? That became Assassin's Creed. And so, yes, I apologize that I'm a bit biased because I really like Assassin's Creed. But outside of just that particular franchise, Ubisoft have been doing stellar work for years. So, thumbs up to Ubisoft. That's my number 1. Number 2 goes way back to the beginning of the video game industry, and that for me is Atari. And I've even got an Atari wallet to show how much I like their stuff. I mean, this is a real full-on wallet with like a logo in the center and the whole 9 yards. Yeah, Atari, when I went into the arcades and saw that Fuji logo on, like, you know, Centipede and Asteroids and Battlezone, I just thought, yeah, I really like Atari games. And then I got my 2600. Loved everything that came out for it. And I'll never forget, that was actually my first time experiencing console wars or whatever, because I would see George Plimpton doing his, here's a game on Atari, and here's the same game, football, baseball, whatever, on Intellivision. I think Intellivision is better. And I thought, to heck with you, man. I really like Atari games. It was like my first experience of like brand loyalty. And that even continued on with a friend of mine who just loved Activision. I mean, Pitfall, River Raid, Frostbite, you name it. He said this is a much better developer. And I was like, well, yeah, but it's not Atari. I like Atari. Yeah, I apologize though, because like that's a bit of a cheat, because it was only Atari arcade machines and 2600 developed games. Like, when you think of Atari as a publisher today, they're not even the same company. They haven't been for decades. So, a little bit of a cheat with that one, so I apologize for that. Number 3 on my list, anybody who knows me will not be surprised at all. I like LucasArts games. Now, I've got a lot of Star Wars stuff. Here's my Millennium Falcon drone that I've done a video about. Anybody who knows my channel, yeah, he's into his Star Wars, so of course he likes LucasArts. Of course he does. I was going to hold up a lightsaber, but I've been doing that a lot lately, so I thought I'd put the drone up. However, you know what? You got to hand it to LucasArts. When they first got into the industry, they thought, okay, yes, we could dip into the cash cow of Star Wars, but we're not going to. We're going to make Day of the Tentacle, Salmon Max, the motorcycle game that name escapes me right now, Ball Blazer. Like, they went out of their way to make games that are not Star Wars. They earned their stripes as a developer. And I'm very sad that they're not with us anymore, because I just love their stuff. And of course, Star Wars. I mean, their Star Wars games are amazing. So, really miss LucasArts. Definitely one of my favorites. And the final one is a company that's been around for a long time, way back in the early days of, you know, the arcades, right up to today. Very prolific game maker. And that is, and I've got a shirt to show this one off, Capcom. I am a big fan of the Capcom games. And now, not just Street Fighter, not just Chun-li, but actually if you go back to like 1942, the arcade machine, or Gunsmoke. Like, there were some really, really excellent arcade games that Capcom made way before any of this other stuff came in the 90s. Final Fight was actually one of the first games that really made me think, okay, this is an amazing game. I will plunk down my quarters every day to play this thing. And then Street Fighter, and then all of their other titles. But I mean, they do great stuff like the Resident Evil games. I'm not a huge fan of, is it Lost Planet? I'm not a huge fan of them, but at least they do different kinds of games. And another thing that really makes me appreciate them, they still developed a lot of good stuff for the Wii. Again, we're getting back to the Wii again, but to me that's kind of a litmus test of like, is a developer just out to like cash in on whatever the latest craze is, or are they there to craft games? And Tatsunoko vs. Capcom on the Wii, a variety of other games that they released on the Wii, just made me think, yeah, Capcom, they've got a good pedigree to them, and I appreciate them. And I will apologize. You know how, no doubt many of you have had these conversations when you were younger of like, yeah, who are some like sexy video game characters? Me and my friends always had those conversations, and I remember listing off a bunch, and I remember thinking to myself, you know what? These are all Capcom ladies, with one exception. I'm like, something about Capcom. They understand what it is that I like, and so therefore, to me, that's just been a funny little connection with me with Capcom. It's like, hey, I really like their ladies. Now, one thing again, also I should apologize with as far as like liking Capcom. In this day and age, a lot of people don't, because they've resold the same game to us hundreds of times. I mean, if you look at Street Fighter 4, there's 7 or 8 different iterations of that with on-disc DLC when they did Street Fighter Cross Tekken. There was Pac-Man and a couple other characters on the disc, and you just bought it with a code. That I don't have time for. I can't make any excuses for that. I'm really hoping with Street Fighter V, they've turned that around and they're not going to do that, because it's a bit of a crummy move. I'm hoping they've learned their lessons from that and they're not going to do that again. So there we go. There are my 4. So we've got Ubisoft, we've got Atari, LucasArts, and Capcom. Those are my 4, and I'm going to submit this now to Novabug. And until next time, we'll see you down the rabbit hole.